I clutched the new tennis racket Marcus had bought me, its grip still stiff with newness. The private club felt different than I'd expected. Quieter, more intimate. Marble floors stretched beneath crystal chandeliers, and everything whispered money. "You'll love it here," Marcus said, his hand warm on my lower back. "Coach Reynolds is excellent, very thorough." I nodded, though my stomach fluttered. At 54, starting tennis felt ridiculous. But Marcus insisted I needed a hobby, something to fill my afternoons while he worked late. The reception area gleamed with polished wood and leather. A young woman behind the desk smiled as Marcus spoke to her in low tones. I caught fragments. "Private session, special arrangement. She's ready." "Mrs. Whitmore?" A tall man approached. Coach Reynolds had silver at his temples and hands that looked like they could grip more than just tennis equipment. "I'm looking forward to working with you." Marcus kissed my cheek. "I'll be back later. Have fun." As he left, I noticed other men in the lobby, 4 of them, all watching, all fit, all silent. "Shall we head to the court?" Coach Reynolds asked. I followed him down a hallway lined with glass, my reflection multiplying beside me. The racket felt heavier with each step. The private court stretched before us, enclosed by floor-to-ceiling windows. Coach Reynolds swiped a keycard at the entrance, and the lock clicked open with finality. "First, we warm up," he said, positioning himself across the net. "Don't worry about technique yet. Just feel the motion." I swung awkwardly, missing half the balls he sent my way. Sweat dampened my tennis dress, another purchase Marcus had insisted on. White, fitted, shorter than anything I'd worn in years. "Relax your shoulders," Coach Reynolds called. I tried, but awareness prickled my neck. The 4 men from the lobby had followed us. They sat in chairs along the back wall, watching, not talking, just watching. "Why are they here?" I asked during a water break. "Observers," Coach Reynolds said simply. "They appreciate good form." His eyes lingered on my legs as I bent to retie my shoes. I should have felt uncomfortable. Instead, something warm unfurled in my chest. "Let's work on your serve," he said. I positioned myself at the baseline, raised the racket overhead. The motion felt foreign, exposed. "Beautiful," one of the men murmured. Heat flooded my cheeks, but I didn't stop. I served again, arching my back, letting them look. "Your grip needs work," Coach Reynolds said, moving behind me. His chest pressed against my shoulder blades as he adjusted my hands on the handle. "Feel that?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. His fingers lingered over mine, calloused and warm. "Now your stance." His hands found my hips, shifting them slightly. "Wider." "Good." The watching men had moved closer, forming a loose semicircle around the court. I could feel their attention like heat from a fire. "Breathe," Coach Reynolds whispered against my ear. "Tennis is about surrender as much as control." His hand slid from my hip to my waist, thumb tracing the curve there. I held my breath, waiting, wanting. "Try the serve now." I lifted the racket, hyper-aware of every movement. The dress rode up slightly. The men shifted in their chairs. Coach Reynolds stepped back but didn't remove his hands entirely. The ball sailed over the net. Perfect. "Excellent," he said. "You're a natural." I turned to face him, close enough to smell his cologne, close enough to see the hunger in his eyes. "What happens next?" I asked. He smiled, glancing toward the observation windows. "That depends on you." Something had shifted. I wasn't just learning tennis anymore. Movement caught my eye beyond the court's glass partition. A figure stood in the observation corridor, partially hidden by shadows. Marcus. My heart hammered against my ribs. How long had he been there? Coach Reynolds followed my gaze and smiled. "He wanted to see your progress," the coach said quietly. I stared at my husband through the glass. He didn't move forward or signal, just watched, like the others. "He arranged this," I whispered, understanding flooding through me. "He knows what you need," Coach Reynolds said, his hand finding the small of my back again. "What you both need." The four men had risen from their chairs, moving closer. I could see Marcus clearly now, his face intent, focused, not angry, not surprised, hungry. "I should go," I said, but my feet didn't move. "Should you?" Coach Reynolds asked. His fingers traced my spine through the thin fabric of my dress. "Or should you discover what you're capable of?" Marcus pressed his palm against the glass. The gesture looked like permission, like a request. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of all their attention, the heat of their desire, the pulse of my own. When I opened my eyes, I was still there, still choosing. "Show me," I whispered. Coach Reynolds set my racket aside with deliberate care. The sound of it hitting the bench seemed to echo forever. "Are you certain?" he asked. I looked at Marcus through the glass one more time. He nodded once, barely perceptible. "Yes." What happened next belonged to shadows and whispered instructions, hands that guided and adjusted more than tennis form. The watching men who moved closer, their breathing audible in the quiet court. I discovered muscles I'd forgotten I had, positions that had nothing to do with serving or volleying, the give and take of control that Marcus had somehow known I craved. The glass partition reflected everything back, my flushed face, my parted lips, the way I moved under their attention like a flower turning toward sunlight. When it was over, I sat on the court floor, dress wrinkled, hair escaped from its neat ponytail. The men stepped back respectfully, but their eyes held promises. Coach Reynolds helped me to my feet. "How do you feel?" "Different," I said honestly. I had crossed a line I hadn't known existed, and I wasn't sorry. Marcus waited in the corridor as I gathered my things. The key card lay on the bench where Coach Reynolds had left it. Mine now, apparently. "How was your lesson?" Marcus asked as we walked to the car. "Educational." He opened the passenger door for me, his hand brushing mine as I slid inside. "I thought you might enjoy that particular teaching style." During the drive home, his fingers found mine. "You looked beautiful in there." "You watched the whole time." "I arranged it," he said simply. "I've been watching you for months, Claire, seeing how restless you were, how hungry." I stared out the window at the passing suburbs. "Why didn't you just ask?" "Because you needed to choose, without pressure, without expectations." At home, he poured wine while I showered. When I came downstairs, he was sitting in his chair, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in years. "Will you go back?" he asked. I sipped the wine, tasting possibility. "When's my next lesson?" "Thursday, same time." "Will you be watching?" He smiled. "Always." I curled up beside him on the couch, the key card warm in my pocket. Thursday felt both too far away and too soon. Thursday morning, Marcus made breakfast while I chose what to wear. The tennis dress hung in my closet like a secret. "Nervous?" he asked, setting coffee beside me. "No," and I wasn't. The flutter in my stomach was anticipation, not fear. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work. Coach Reynolds mentioned expanding your training, group sessions. My breath caught. More observers? Participants, he corrected gently, if you're interested. I watched him drive away, then returned to the mirror. The woman looking back had changed in 3 days. Her eyes held knowledge. Her smile carried secrets. At the club, Coach Reynolds waited with the same 4 men. But today, they weren't just watching. Ready for advanced techniques? He asked.